here we go. A little real-time parts work. As you can see, I'm just turning on my camera because I'm sitting here at my desk and I noticed that the past couple of days I've been feeling like perfectionist tendencies coming up. And I think that for me, they tend to come from a place of feeling inadequate. So, yeah. I'm just gonna do some parts work, like real time. Well, not real time, live. How do I say? Like this is recorded, but I'm doing in the moment, not rehearsed, not scripted, nothing like that. So, okay, if you're not familiar with parts work, it's just like giving a voice to the different aspects of yourself. And so that's what I'm gonna demonstrate. And so like what I like to do personally is I hold one hand up to represent one part and then hold up another hand to represent the other part. Or to hold in the middle to represent a third part, maybe, depending on how many parts I feel like I want to give a voice to. And that's just to make a clear distinction for myself about which part I'm speaking from, so I can make a clear kind of draw a line in the sand with it. This part is speaking, this part is speaking. So here we go. Just give me a second to get quiet. I want so badly to be perfect so that I can feel good about myself. Why can't you feel good about yourself now? It seems impossible to be able to ever be perfect. There's no sense of done. Everything's always changing. So what makes you think that you would ever be able to achieve some kind of perfection and then stay there forever? Well, that sounds pretty ridiculous now that I think about it. I don't know why. Sometimes I just feel these overwhelming feelings of like, I started looking around at my life and I start picking things apart and being really critical. And where did you learn that? From someone close to me in my life. And where do you think they learned it? Probably from someone close to them in their life. And then where do you think they learned it? Probably from someone close to them in their life. I see the chain. And I'm capable of breaking that by doing processes like this and seeing it for what it is. I know Abraham Hicks always says you never get it wrong and you never get it done. And I always love that. That always feels really good to me. I am a work in progress all the time. I'm never done. But how can I feel okay when I look around and I see so much? I'm gonna stop you right there because you're focusing on what's not done instead of focusing on what is, what you have accomplished, what you have changed, the progress you have made. You're focused more often than not on what isn't. Instead of focusing on what is, you're not celebrating enough. You're not celebrating yourself enough. You're not celebrating your accomplishments enough. But it feels silly to me to celebrate things like little small things. It feels like not enough. Where did you learn that from? Same person. I feel like I'm hard to impress it's hard for me to impress myself. And then when I think about having to impress myself, I'm exhausted by what I have to accomplish in order to impress myself. It makes me want to go curl up in a ball and go to sleep because it feels so hard. Not unattainable, but incredibly hard. It's okay to have good goals. It's okay to have high, lofty goals as long as you know that they're there just to guide you and they're not an indicator of who you are, because you're always going to have goals and you're always going to be moving towards them. So don't let them define you. Don't let your goals define who you are. They're just there to guide you. It's okay to reach for something even if you feel it's unrealistic if it excites you. That's what matters. The excitement is what you're looking for. The process, the unfolding, the journey to it is most of the fun. Okay. So what I'm hearing is that if I focus on little wins, even if it feels maybe a little silly at first, that I'm training myself to notice what I am doing instead of what I'm not doing. Because there's quite often I'm thinking about all the things I could be doing. And I have this feeling of unworthiness and shame because I'm not doing enough. There's so many things you could be doing. And then I start to go down the hole of like, well, I need to wake up earlier and I've been down that path before, and it's tiring. I'm exhausted just thinking about it because it's never about enjoying the moment. It's always about trying to get somewhere, and I never get there. And I see how futile that is when I say it out loud, and I look back and watch myself just tread water in place, really not getting anywhere, because all of my power is in this moment. It's not in some future. There is no future. The future never comes. There's always just now. And reminding myself of that more often would be good. That feels pretty good. Yeah, I think that's what I needed. I find myself, I go into these spirals, like a perfectionism spiral, where I start looking at everything and I'm like, sometimes I can get really motivated by it, but it's usually followed by, it almost reminds me a little bit, I've not been diagnosed with any mental illnesses, but I feel like, well, I know mental illness runs in my family. I mean, whose family doesn't it run in? But it feels a little like a manic type of thing where I get really like motivated. I'm like, I'm going to fix everything in my life. And then on the other side of that is just like this crash, because it's so unrealistic, and it's not out of love for myself. It's out of like self-loathing that I want to make all these changes and do all these things. It's not because I'm excited about loving myself more. It's I'm excited about the idea of achieving a certain level of success in all areas of my life, to the point where I can then finally feel good about myself and feel satisfied, and not look to others for validation and approval of, am I doing a good job? Please pat me on the head and tell me I'm doing a good job. That's what I need. You're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. That's what I could be doing instead of looking to other people. So I think that more of that. I want to do more of that for myself. So I think that's the conclusion here. And I'm not even sure what I would say. Like, this part is very obvious. This is like the insecure me, that insecure part of me that wants to feel good about myself. And then there's this part of me that's kind of like, I don't know, it's like this loving, kind of wise part. And that's, I guess, how I would describe those two. I hope that was helpful to anybody out there. I feel like this is a really, once you do this, there's more information on like parts work. Teal Swan is a spiritual teacher. She has a lot of good videos on parts work, or fragmentation process, I think it's also called, or yeah, I don't even know. Maybe that's, I guess shadow work is maybe a little bit different. And there's like the completion process and the presence process. There's all sorts of like processes around stuff like this. Plenty of information out there if you're interested in more. I have a couple other parts work videos on my channel. This is something that I have just found so helpful. I highly recommend trying it out for yourself when you're feeling stuck, when you're feeling conflicted. Just stop, take a couple breaths, and then give a voice, or journal. I like speaking a little bit. I can get my thoughts out a little faster. I do know writing is valuable in and of itself, but I personally tend to prefer speaking. My mind moves pretty quickly, so I feel like I like to be able to get my thoughts out quickly, whereas I feel a little limited by writing sometimes, although that can be a good thing for people who have fast minds, to like slow your mind down a little bit. So there you have it. I hope that's helpful to somebody out there. Leave a comment below if you have any questions or anything like that, any feedback. Thanks for watching.